Hey everyone, Charlene here for Whimsy Stamps. I'm here with a project tutorial for you today using some of the items from the newest release. I'm going to be using the Stethoscope Die Set. This is a really cute die set. It comes with a heart-shaped stethoscope as well as a nurse's cap and then some items to help you customize the set. So I've cut everything out in white cardstock. And then I've cut out some of the pieces in red, silver, and black as well. So what I'm doing here, I'm just using a piece of double-sided tape and I have removed one side of it. I've left the release paper on there. And this is a good way to do die cut inlay. It allows you to paper piece the pieces in and you've got that double-sided tape there so it easily sticks and you don't have any issues. So now I'm coming in here and I am layering up my die cuts. I am using black on top and white on the bottom. This is a fun effect to do. You can have different colors in your layers if you want, and it gives your card a different look. So you could do all black, you could do black with white underneath, you could do black with silver or red underneath, just depending on what you're going for. And the more layers you do, the more dimension there's going to be on your card. You could even stack up the die cuts 3 or 4 times and it's going to give you almost a chipboard look to your die cut. So lots of fun there, definitely things to play around with. When you're working with small die cuts like this, it's really helpful to have some type of fine tip glue applicator. It makes the process much easier. And then you go ahead and you dot your piece with the glue, line up your layers, put them together, and then you can kind of go around with your fingers and just lightly pinch around the edges of the die cut to get it nice and lined up. It works really well. I definitely recommend using that fine tip applicator though. So you can see that little circle piece there also cuts out a heart, which is nice. I love die cuts like this where you can really customize your die cut. You could do any colors here. I'm using somewhat traditional colors of the silver, red, and black, but you could do pinks, oranges, purples, pattern paper, all kinds of different things. So there's the finished die cut all put together and layered up. And now I am using these fun stitches stamps, and I'm going to show you a trick here. I am using some tape on the back of the stamps. Now all I did was take the plastic off the top of them. I've left that back piece on there. I haven't taken them off or anything. And now I am using that double-sided tape to pull up the entire stamp package on the door of my MISTI. This is great because you can do fun patterned paper when you have these kinds of detail stamps like this. It creates really cool looks on your paper. And all you do then is just tape down the sides so that way it doesn't move on you, and you can ink up the whole thing. Now you could ink this up in multiple different colors. I'm just using black and I'm using a pigment ink here because I'm going to go in with some clear embossing powder and heat emboss it just to give my background of my card a little bit of texture. But again, these guys can be pulled off in this stamp set, which makes it really fun. You can make borders, you could make stripes along your paper, so many different options. I mean, there's like I can imagine if you had like a little animal scurrying along your card or something like that, you could use these as trails on the card. Just a really versatile stamp set. I like it. So coming in with that clear embossing powder, you do want to do this if you're using pigment ink. Otherwise, you have to let the ink dry for quite a while. Pigment ink stays wet for quite a long time. And I wanted the added texture of the embossing powder, and I also didn't want to smudge my ink on my paper. It's a pretty quick thing to do. So now I'm coming in and I'm just using a couple of pieces from this Slimline Heartbeats Die Set that's also from Whimsy Stamps, and I am using the border piece and I've cut that out in that red glitter cardstock. And then I'm also going to be using the sentiment. You'll see that later. So I've also cut out that pattern piece I did with the stitches stamps, and I am going to inlay that into that heartbeat outline. This doesn't, you don't need to do this way. You could pop the frame, that heartbeat frame, right on top of the piece of paper that you do any kind of background stamping on, but I wanted it to be white along that bottom strip of the card, so I did this as a die cut inlay technique. Now I cut out a shadow layer of the nurse's cap in black because I wanted my nurse's cap to sort of pop off of the card. I wanted it to be a little more bold. So that's a trick if you are working with die cuts and they are white die cuts. Try cutting a shadow layer in a dark color like that. It's going to give your die cut a little more definition on a white background. I'm just piecing in the pieces that were cut out just because I want to make sure that it's nice and level when I adhere it to my card. It probably would be fine without doing that, but I had them and I just popped them in, and now I am gluing the entire nurse's cap to my card. A fun little thing that you can do with your cards is to have your die cut pieces go outside of the border. So you can see I am actually adhering that so it is out on that outside heartbeat piece, and that's another reason why I did the inlay with the piece where I did the stitches stamps as my pattern on the background. Now I'm coming in with my stethoscope. This is such a cute little set. I love how the stethoscope makes a heart. I think that's just adorable. You could use this for so many different things. You could, if you have any friends or family who are in the medical field, these would be great to make a card for them. Or if you have, these are our medical professionals are dealing with a lot right now and have been for the last couple of years. So any of them, I'm sure, would appreciate a heartfelt card, and this set would work really well for that. You can see I have cut out the thinking of you, which also looks like a heartbeat. And I think that's really, really innovative and cool. I like that a lot. And I did layer that with 2 cutout pieces. And now I am just adhering it to my card. If you're going to put a long die cut like this, it's a good idea to use your reverse tweezers. And then you can just start at one edge of the card and press down as you go along so you can make sure that you get it on there nice and straight. Now, there are 2 little heart pieces that dot the eyes in this set, so make sure you don't lose those. I kept my piece of paper because they didn't pop out, and then I kept it off to the side there, and I put them on my card as well once I had everything glued down. So now I am adhering my whole panel to a slimline sized card base, which is 3.5 by 8.5. And here's a little trick. If you are trying to line up things, use the corner of your score buddy. It makes it so much easier when you are putting a panel like that covers the whole top. Well, there is my finished card. You can see there's the heart stethoscope and nurse's cap. And then you can see that background there with the stitches stamp and the outline piece, the heartbeat and the sentiment from the Slimline Heartbeats set. So thanks guys very much for joining me. I hope you'll join me over in the Whimsy Stamps Facebook inspiration group. And you can also subscribe to us over on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. Thanks. Happy crafting.